Why, hello there, I'm Professor Joel, and welcome to another episode of Planet Scooby Reviews. Today we are covering When You Wish Upon a Star Creature, and this episode originally aired on December 1st, 1979, and it is the 11th episode of Scooby-Doo and Scrappy-Doo. This episode sees the gang at an observatory dealing with a star creature who has come to Earth and is frightening all the local scientists and guests of the observatory away. This is the 100th episode of Scooby-Doo ever produced, and it is the last to feature Pat Stevens as Velma, as Marla Frumkin takes over for the next episode. And then she only does a couple episodes. Velma kind of falls out of favor until we get a few appearances of her, until like maybe a pup named Scooby-Doo, but she's like kiddo Velma, and then we get a reappearance of Velma as a grown-up in Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island, which is many years away, something like 17 or 18 years after this episode aired. Anyway, enough of my jibber jabber. Let's get on with the review. The episode begins with the gang attending a laser light show at the observatory.
Welcome to the planetarium.
Outside, George, the security guard, has a quick conversation with Professor Spaulding about the star the professor just discovered.
Evening, Professor Spaulding. The laser light show sure packs the crowd in, doesn't it?
What was that, George?
You're here earlier than usual, aren't you, Professor?
Excuse me, but I've got to check the charts. And with good reason. I've just discovered a new star.
George then goes about doing his rounds and has a look at the telescope. When he looks in, he watches the sky, and suddenly the star creature appears and scares George off.
Wow, what a telescope. Who couldn't spot a new star with this? Amazing. What's that? What's happening?
I am a creature of the stars, here to claim the earth as my own.
Meanwhile, the gang are on their way up to Greenfield Observatory. Velma is excited to see the telescope as it is the most powerful telescope ever built. On their drive up, they notice a lot of panicked people driving away from the observatory, screaming about a star creature. Freddy hits a rock and the Mystery Machine gets a flat tire, but he makes it up the large hill to the observatory.
I'm so excited about seeing the Greenfield Observatory telescope. It's supposed to be the most powerful telescope ever built.
There's a creature!
End of the line.
Getting out of the Mystery Machine, they meet Professor Spaulding, who explains the star creature came down through the telescope from a star he just discovered.
I'm Professor Spaulding.
Professor Spaulding, eh?
I'm an astronomer here at the observatory. I'm leaving because of that creature that apparently came from a star I just discovered. You mean like down through your telescope? Exactly. And I'd advise you to leave too.
Shaggy and Scooby wait back to fix the flat tire, while Freddy, Daphne, and Velma go into the observatory to investigate. Looking at the telescope, Velma notices that it isn't even pointing at the sky. Before she can investigate further, she is yelled at by Mr. Greenfield, the owner of the observatory. He then fixes the telescope so she can look at the newly discovered star. He then asks the gang to leave as soon as possible. Working fast, Daphne spots a plaque on the telescope that says it is made by Star Laboratories.
This equipment must direct the angle of the telescope. But why isn't it pointed up toward the sky?
What are you kids doing in here? Coming in here, messing with my telescope.
Jinkies, is that the star Professor Spaulding discovered?
That's right. And we're naming it Greenfield 12B, after me.
You're the Mr. Greenfield of Greenfield Observatory?
Correct, and I would appreciate it if you would leave the way you came in.
This is interesting. Look here. Made by Star Laboratories. I think we have our next clue.
Outside, Shaggy, Scooby, and Scrappy run into the star creature, and we get ourselves the usual fun little chase scene. Both parties meet back up and they head off to Star Laboratories. Before they head off though, they meet Hank Grime crawling about in the bushes. He tells the gang to leave as soon as possible.
There he is.
Scrappy!
I got him good this time, Uncle Scooby.
What's going on here? The name is Grime. Hank Grime. I heard what happened tonight. Take some friendly advice and get out of this park. There's There's a bad feeling about it.
I think we'll learn some more about this mystery at Star Laboratory.
With the flat tire fixed, the gang tried to enter Star Laboratories, but are stopped by a guard who explains they cannot enter as there have been a lot of thefts of top secrets. Not physical thefts, just thefts.
Star Laboratories, everybody out.
Wait right there. Sorry, nobody goes in. Too many thefts lately.
You mean there have been a lot of break-ins?
Well, not exactly, but we deal in top secrets, and they've been turning up in the wrong hand.
But if nobody's broken in, how do the secrets get out?
Well, that's what we'd like to know.
Scrappy runs in anyway and is followed by Shaggy and Scooby, who all immediately run into the star creature.
Prepare to meet your doom!
Running back outside, the entire gang watches the star creature bolt back up the hill to the Greenfield Observatory.
I don't believe it.
He's heading for the hills.
Not just the hills, Fred. Look, Greenfield Observatory.
The gang all head off to the laser light show, and they encounter the star creature, who blinds the gang with the bright lights of the show. Scrappy attacks the star creature and grabs a belt loaded with some strobe lights off of him. Mr. Greenfield then shows up and tells the gang that the staff are all calling it quits for the day and that the gang need to leave as soon as possible. Mr. Greenfield then walks off on his own way.
What? It looks like a strobe light. Probably part of the light show.
With a belt attached?
You again.
Sorry, Mr. Greenfield, but we're starting to make some sense of this mystery. Is Professor Spaulding still around?
I don't know. He's been working longer hours since he discovered the new star. But we're all leaving early lately because of the star creature. Still, you might check the observatory room. If he's here, that's where you'll find him.
We then get our third chase scene with Scooby, Scrappy, and Shaggy and the star creature, which sends them all back outside thanks to a jetpack. They land on the telescope and then have a quick tussle with a mama bear and her cub. The gang all gather up in the observatory room and the professor runs in and is angry that his telescope settings have been changed once again. The professor leaves and Velma tampers with the telescope once more. She points the telescope at Star Laboratories and can read the drawing board of an architect working on a project.
Well, that finishes my work. Well, we'll just wait for our friends and let ourselves out.
What are you doing, Velma? Star Laboratories.
The time has come to teach you a lesson!
We get our final chase scene and the star creature is caught. Velma unmasks him and it turns out to be Mr. Greenfield. He had been using the telescope to steal secrets from Star Laboratories. When Professor Spaulding discovered the new star, Mr. Greenfield no longer had enough time to steal secrets, so he wanted to scare everyone away to get back down to business. You think since the guy owned a multi-million-dollar observatory he'd be loaded, but I guess not.
You captured the star creature? That's amazing.
Of course, it isn't really a star creature. When I noticed the telescope kept being reset to point toward the city, I realized something was up.
Then this strobe light we found told us the creature was a phony, using equipment from the laser light show to create his star creature outfit.
The guard at Star Laboratories told us there had been no break-ins, but that secrets were getting out. The telescope was pointing right at the windows of Star Lab. Mr. Greenfield himself.
Boy, you ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Bah! When Professor Spaulding discovered the new star and began working longer hours, well, that upset Greenfield's plan.
And he had to find a way to scare him and everyone away.
Meddling kids.
With another mystery solved, the gang head off on their next adventure. I give this episode a 7.5 out of 10. There is a lot to like about this episode, but I think there's just too much fail potential to make it a masterpiece, in my opinion. My biggest problem with it is that it has all of these suspects. Like right off the bat, we meet all these characters, but we never really see them again. These characters aren't developed, and thus there's no mystery. Instead, the episode just opts for more and more chase scenes. I mean, it's just, I don't want to call it lazy writing, but it's kind of lazy writing. They're going for the easy laughs rather than the mystery that we really love about Scooby-Doo, or at least I love about Scooby-Doo. And I'm not faulting the writers. I mean, the audience, maybe they demanded that, or the producers wanted that. Who knows? I don't know what was going on. But I'd rather have a bit more mystery and a lot less of a chase scene, because the chase scenes just aren't all that interesting once you get past 1 or 2. It kind of just takes away from the episode for me, is what I'm saying, I guess. But there is a lot about this episode I did like. Particularly, I like the design of the star creature. I thought it was really cool. I just wish instead of just having him come to Earth through a telescope, they maybe went into his backstory a bit, like where exactly did the star creature come from? I guess he came from that star, but a star is a big glowing blob of hydrogen gases exploding, right? So nothing can really live on a star. So did he come from a planet? Who else is on this planet? What's this planet like? That's the kind of stuff, because it does take a science fiction slant. Maybe I'm a little harder on this episode because it is science fiction-y. That's the kind of stuff I'm interested in and I wish they went into. Instead, we just get the generic monster of the week just chasing the gang around. But yeah, I like the design of this star creature. I guess it never really took off. I doubt we'll ever see a toy of him or maybe even a Funko Pop. Not many people know about this season of Scooby-Doo, which is unfortunate. I think it's really underrated. Not many people talk about it, and I would encourage you to watch this season of Scooby-Doo where they introduce Scrappy-Doo, because it does have the original gang, and Scrappy isn't all that bossy in these episodes. He's tolerable. He's not taking up a lot of time, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. I also liked the location of this, the observatory. I thought that was really cool. And I like the mystery that they did have, how the telescope was used to steal secrets. We kind of saw that in another episode. What was that episode? You can write in the comments below. I'll remember as soon as I stop the video. But it's the episode with Ebenezer Crab, where the gang volunteer, high-rise hair razor. That's the episode. Yeah. The same sort of thing was going on with that episode. So not too unique with this one, but what can you do? I mean, with so many mysteries, you're bound to repeat yourself. Also, Daphne, Velma, and Freddy have a bit more to do in this episode than you've seen in the past for this season, which is kind of nice. And like I said, Scrappy isn't too disruptive, so no complaints from me there. Anyway, join me next week when I will be covering the Ghoul, the Bat, and the Ugly. Once again, I want to thank you for any views, likes, subscribes, shares, and comments. Everyone, you just mean the world to me, and thank you for helping my channel continue to grow. Anyway, until next week, stay spooky.